Hello and welcome to the video on nested if-else structure and also logical operators I'll be talking about. So uh, last the last video we were looking at a basic if and if-else, and so we did a little bit of tinkering with that and saw the basic if-else conditional statement. In this video we're going to talk about what happens when these statements inside of here become yet another if-else. So sort of an if embedded inside of another if, and looking out for common mistakes we can make when we do that. So here's an example. This probably reminds you somewhat of your Carol the Dog summer assignment. So here you can see that if the front is clear, if that's true, that I'm going to move. And then else, if the front is not clear, I'm going to ask a whole nother set of questions. I'm going to ask if the right is clear. And if the right is clear, I'm going to turn right. And otherwise, I'm going to turn left. So I don't think you did anything like this in the summer assignment, but we want to look at a couple of different things that can happen with a nested if-else. So this format follows this generic format here. And so you'll see there's if, there's a condition, and then else, there's another if condition, and then else. At the end, there's no condition at all. So we could have even more than 1 and 2 in here, right? We could do else if, else if, else if. The point here is that the last one has no condition at all. So here, if condition 1 is true, I will output the message output number 1. Else, if condition 2 is true, I will output the message number 2. And otherwise, for all other cases, if this is false and this is false, I will come down here and output message number 3. So no matter how many of these that I have, if I end with a dangling else, I'm guaranteed to at least output this message. But I only get here if every previous condition was false. So in this sort of if-else structure with the dangling else, you're guaranteed to do one of these, system out prints, and only one of these paths. You won't do multiple paths, but you're guaranteed to do one of them because I have this else at the end catching everybody else. So again, if this condition is true, then I'm going to output number 1, and then I am done. This is one giant statement, and I'm done with this statement as soon as I get a true path. So else if this is true, I'm going to do this, and I am done. But this guy is going to catch. Everybody else is going to output number 3. So you're going to see, I'm going to show you really quickly that you can combine these two statements onto one. So it's sometimes called an else if. So if, else, and you still see that dangling else. So it's just two different ways. The process is the same, the code is doing the same thing. So an alternative to this, something different, is where I'm going to put a condition here on the end. So it's still this if, else, but now instead of a dangling else here, this is not a dangling else, this is an else, an immediate if. So every one of these prints is conditional. So as soon as I hit a true one, I will follow that path. So if condition 1 is true, I will output message number 1, and then I'm done. Otherwise, I'll go and I'll ask this question. If this is true, I'll output number 2, and again, I'm done. Otherwise, I'll ask this question, and if it's true, I'll output number 3, and then I'm done. But it is possible that all 3 of these conditions would be false, and I would not execute any of these statements. So it is possible that I would not do any prints here, and I would just go to the next statement. So we want to distinguish between this and the previous example where we had an else at the end, a dangling else with no condition. So again, with this one, there's a condition on every, and we can also combine it like before. So it would look like this: if, else if this, else if this. And so those are the two basic patterns. Now again, you can have multiple of these. I can have multiple lines of code in here. I could print 3 different things. I could set variables. So they can get big and complex. But Let's look at a couple other examples. So we looked at this one before, and again, if the front is clear, I will move, and then I am done. I'm not going to ask any of those questions. As soon as I take a true path somewhere, I am done. But here I have a dangling else, so I'm guaranteed to at least do this. But I get one and only one. So with this, there's no hanging else, and I could possibly move, or I might turn right, or I might turn left, or I might do none of these. So if none of these conditions are true, then I may do nothing. And remember, hypothetically, the front could be clear and the right is clear, right? But if the front is clear and I move, I don't ask these questions at all. I bump out and I'm in the next statement, okay? So this is one giant statement and I'm only allowed to take one path. And that's true of both this and the dangling else. The difference is that it's possible I won't take any path at all here. All right, so a common error is when you kind of have an if and an if and an else. So notice this is a little different structure. This if, the statement inside is an if, and I really want this else to be lined up with this if as you see it here. But if I hit that generate CSD button, I'll see that this else actually gets lined up with the closest if. So here, if the x is bigger than or equal to 0, I go in here and do this stuff. But I wanted this else to be if x was less than 0. And you can see that this is actually going to be the else on this path, which is not what I wanted. So we can fix that with braces, but you just have to be really careful when you structure, when you're nesting ifs inside of other if-elses. You need to be really careful and maybe say out loud what it is you're trying to achieve and what you want. So stepping up our conditional game, so again, this is my condition, right? If x is bigger than or equal to 0. So one thing we can do is we can start combining conditions in here with our if-else. So here's an example with an AND operator, and we'll get into some Boolean logic later, but you can think of AND, I think it relates well to English. So if this is true, and this is true. So both have to be true. So I have two conditions now, and the and tells me that both have to be true in order for me to do this thing. If this one's false and this one's true, that's no good. The whole thing is false. Similarly, if this one's true, but this one turns out to be false, this evaluation, this Boolean variable is not true, so this whole thing is false, then I have true and false, and then the whole thing is false. So I will not take this path. I only take this path when both parts of an and are true. So there's and the and operator is this double ampersand symbol. So the OR operator says, well, one or the other can be true. As long as this one or that one is true, I'm going to go in here and do this branch. So with the OR, I can have this be true and this one false. Or this one can be true and that one's false. Or actually both can be true. As long as somebody's true somewhere, I'm going to go and do this offer job method call, whatever that may be. So these are logical operators, and again, we're using them to add more complexity to our condition and handle more cases. So here is here's an example, and we're going to see how we can improve upon it. So here you can see, don't mistake this for an else if, which is a common first mistake. So there is no else if. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 separate if statements. So if this statement is true, I'll wear shorts, and then I am guaranteed to go ask this question because this is the next statement. It's not one big giant else if. So the reason this is bad is because let's say, because if you're looking at this, what I want is if the temp's greater than 80, I want to wear shorts. And then if it's between 60 and 80, I want to dress comfortably. And then between 40 and 60, I want to wear a jacket. And less than 40, I want to wear a coat. But the problem is if the temperature is where? Oh, the problem is if the temperature is 80 or above, then I've taken this path. And yet how I've written it, I'm still going to go ask this question. But the thing is, I already know the temp's greater than or equal to 80. Why am I asking this question? And why would I go and ask this question? And why would I go and ask this question? So that's why we would want to go to something like an else if. So that as soon as I take a true path, I don't ask any more questions, right? So if the temperature is greater than or equal to 80, then I know it's not going to be between 60 and 80. I know it's not going to be here, and I know it's certainly not less than 40. So by making it an else if, I limit how many questions I need to ask. So that gives us a little more efficiency, but we can even improve upon it more. So now that I've made it an if else, the only reason I come to ask this question is if this was false. So remember, if the temp is 82, then I take this path, I wear shorts, and I bump out of the whole statement. But if the statement, if the temperature is 72, then this is false, and I bump here to ask this question. Well, if I'm here and asking this question, I no longer need this piece, because the only reason I got here is if this is false. And if this is false, it means this part, I already have that. I don't need to ask that. So I can get rid of that. And similarly, I can get rid of asking if the temp is less than 60 here, because the only reason I'll make it here is if this is false. And then by the time I get here, this becomes unnecessary. So I can have a dangling else here. So for logic, style, efficiency, and ease of look, this is our best option here. And it's up to you whether you want the else if on one statement, but I think this looks much cleaner than what we started with. That was quite a lot of questions. So here, keep in mind it does matter when I ask these. If I were to ask if the temp is greater than or equal to 40 first, that wouldn't work, right? So the order in which I'm asking the questions becomes very important. So unfortunately there we saw our ands became unnecessary, but you will have some times where you want to combine ands and ors to make a more complex statement. So just some things to keep in mind as you go off. Most of these errors involve some sort of logic. Use that CSD to set your indents and pay attention to the indents. Add braces to really highlight where you want things to be, and make sure you have some good test data so that you test all the possible paths and you make sure that your code is performing the way you want it to do. And then as we saw in the end, try to combine if statements to an if else if you can, rather than having single if statements tacked on top of each other. So these are a couple of great programming practices. I think we will do this in next class unless I've told you to go ahead and give it a try at home, but I would like you to come into class ready to work with your partner on trying to write these types of programs using some of the if-else knowledge you've gained, and maybe even experimenting with some of the logical operators, the ands and the ors. So that's about it. I'll see you next time.